So Pete says that, thanks Pete. Pete says that, but after today you'll realise they actually really do come to see me. And it's nice to see some familiar faces in the audience and recognise some names there. So thanks so much for coming along. I know it's towards the end of a session. I would like to just do something a little bit different, and I'd like my colleagues to stand up and feel free for some audience participation. What I need you guys to do in the audience is to think, what is she? And what I need you guys to do is be the wind for me. Blow, wind, blow. Thank you, wind. And that's the end of my interpretive dance. Now, I really do need people to tell me, what do you think I possibly could have been? Be loud? A tree? What sort of tree do you think I could be? Yeah, that is true. That is true. But what about in relation to grants? Oh, I thought I heard that. Lovely interpretation. And I like that it is an interpretive dance. Let this help you. What do you think this might be? A money tree. Now, hands up, who has one of these? Or who knows where I can find one of these? No, that's right. There's no such thing as a money tree. I also do need to just point you back. It's Sharon Oliva, O-L-I-V-A. And I often get Olivia and I often get ER, but just so that you know, if you need to find me and you're bad, that's okay. I'll forgive you. It happens all the time. Yeah. And the other thing too, how to write winning grant applications. Well, I'm not here to tell you how to write a winning grant application. There is no magic formula. There's no guarantee. It's a competitive process in most cases, so give it your best shot. Michael, community leasing team, the other parts of council, sport and rec, everyone's giving you some really good information. And now when you write your application, if you've followed that process, you will be in the best position to give yourself a shot of having a successful application. So let's get started. All you have to do, and I know this sounds really easy, is understand your project. Michael's taught you how to do that. Find an appropriate funding source. I'll give you some tips and you can, go off and do some research yourself. Read and understand the guidelines. Now, this is bold and italicized because it actually is really important. And I've heard the leasing team make reference to read and understand. If you're not sure, you have resources available to you, including me and my grants and partnerships colleagues. Call and check. Better to understand so that you can write the best application possible. Prepare all your required information and documents, and then finally write and submit your application. So that's all you have to do. Okay, thanks for coming. It does sound very easy, and what I'm going to do is take you through some of these slides. A lot of it will be repetitive. You will have heard the messaging earlier in today's forum, but it's really important, and I do want to reinforce those messages because they are important to being able to help you write that successful application. A lot of them will flick through quickly though. Okay, read and understand the guidelines. Where do you start? All of the information that you need will be in the guidelines, and let's see if I've got this right. First of all, does what you want to do, does it align to the program objectives? What are the program objectives? And I've highlighted, I'm not going to go through in detail these slides because you can read these online and you can, if you want to check, call us. But I do want to highlight, so just to give you an idea of what to look for. Develop new or improve existing community facilities where people can participate in the community, cultural, sporting, and environmental activities. The other thing that I wanted to highlight here is you might find other useful information in the guidelines. Look at all of the guidelines, not just pick out the bits that you want, look at all of them. Oops. Project start date. There's different grant rounds. Check if that works with you and all the other information in the guidelines, if it's going to match your project. I also want to flag that these slides, this presentation will be made available to you after the forum. So don't feel like you have to scribble or take photos or come find me at the end. You'll be able to get access to it. Okay, so you've worked out, yep, we're pretty sure that this is what we want to do does align to this grant program, the Community Facilities Grant Program. What else do I need to look for? What else? Now, I do want some audience participation here legitimately. You don't have to interpretive dance. What are the types of things that you think that you might need to look for in guidelines to see if it's worthwhile applying? Now, this is stuff, yep. Pardon? Maintenance, yep. To see if it's in the guidelines that you can, yep. What are the other types of things? Michael gave you some really good tips of things you need to think about. Co-contribution, exactly. Let's move on in. There is a lot of stuff, so I'm not going to hold you all accountable. Thank you for those. I noticed that Michael left his little chocolate bag here. I was going to bring my own, but I might just steal from his. And I do know who gave me those. I'll check with Michael if that's okay first. Okay, is your applicant, are you as the applicant, is your organisation eligible? Again, it's all in the guidelines. It says, yeah, this zapper says you have to meet the following criteria. It tells you what that criteria is. Check it off. Do I meet that? It even gives you a definition of what is a community organisation, just to make sure, yep, we match. What about if it says we're not an ineligible organisation? It also tells you who's not allowed to apply. Really important to check that stuff. Okay, so you know that your grant aligns to the program objectives. You know that your organisation is eligible. So what about your project? Now, there's a couple of projects here that you can do. We've got, somebody asked before about, can you get a consultant? Can you help pay for consultancy? Oh, I'm so sorry. We do have facility planning projects, and that's for assistance in preparing for concept plans. So there is a part of our facility grant program that's for planning, and there's also a part that is for construction and improvement. You can see here again, I've highlighted in orange. Projects must be finished within 14 months. This is all the critical information that you need to be aware of when you're planning and writing your application to make sure that you're eligible and you will be able to meet the guideline criteria. Okay. Also tells you what's not allowed to be funded. Now, we spoke earlier about what can be funded, and we also spoke about what can't be funded. Now, this is in regards to your ineligible project. So are you on land that is privately owned? Well, that means you're not eligible. Do you need landowner consent from our lovely community leasing team? Yes, you do. Those sorts of things. Again, just check off and make sure. Ineligible expenses, maintenance. Maintenance activities, that's a bit of and it's difficult. We have had applications in the past where people have said, well, is this maintenance or is this restoration or is this improvement? If you're not sure, seek clarification and get some confirmation. It's better to be clear up front and put your application in knowing it can progress than for you guys to waste your time and have us spend our time going through something that's not going to get funded. We want you guys to be as successful as possible, so use us. Okay, it's other guideline criteria. So we've spoken about the program objectives, the applicant organisation, the project, but there are other things in the guidelines that you may need to make sure that you're meeting. Do you have the IWA? What's your co-contribution requirement? Now, this is a slide I'm going to spend a fair bit of time on. Who's done a grant application for one of our facilities grants and struggled with the co-contribution and how to work out how much money do I need to put in? Saw a few hands go up there. 1, 2, 3. I'm sure there's more. 4. Oh, look, they're still going. Yeah. Let me tell you, I've done a bit of a formula here. to try and help you guys. So you can get up to $20,000 for a facilities grant. You have to put 25% co-contribution. What is that co-contribution? Well, here's your formula. You work out what all your eligible project expenses are. In this case, you've got quotes for $23,400. You multiply that by 25%, and that tells you how much of that project cost that's eligible you have to contribute. So you have to contribute $5,850 of that $23,400. That means the maximum grant that you can apply for is $17,550. And Michael at the start, and I've got to bow down to you, Michael, said, don't think this is how much money we can get from the grant. Think, what is our project and how much is it going to cost? And then find your funding sources. What we find is a lot of people ring up and say, if I want $20,000, how much co-contribution do I have to make? Well, I always tell people, well, what's your project expense? And let's work it out from there. There's a little nuance to that, and I want to talk to you about this second example. In this case, your total project expenses are $30,000, which means your contribution of 25% is $7,500. The difference is the amount of grant funding you can seek, $22,500. Well, can anyone see a problem with that? Maximum funding is only $20,000. So that means you'll have to contribute the difference. So you can seek $20,000, but you'll have to pay $10,000 of that $30,000 project. It's more than your required 25% co-contribution, but it's what's needed because you can only get $20,000 from us. And that's why I've given you two examples there. Does that kind of make sense to people? Great, because that's something that people often get wrong. And I do want to clarify, when we talk about eligible project expenses, that's what's eligible that you can seek funding from us for. Your project might actually cost $50,000, but that $50,000 may include $20,000 of expenses that you just can't get funding from us for. What we're looking for is a 25% co-contribution of stuff that's eligible under our program that you can ask us to get funding for. If you're not sure, speak to Sport and Rec, speak to grants. We can help you out with that stuff. All right. You're willing to agree to the grant terms and conditions. We do make that available before you apply. It is like a contract. So make sure that you've read those before you apply and you are happy to meet those conditions. Some of those things will say you have to finish it by your project end date. So you tell us in your application, we're going to do this, this and this and have it done by this date. We expect you, if we give you money for this, this and this, we expect you to do this, this and this and have your project finished at that date and have your report submitted 4 weeks later. It's all in the terms and conditions. Like Lacey said, we do recognise sometimes, life doesn't go to plan, projects don't go to plan. If there's a problem, get on the phone. We're your friends. We're here to help you work through those problems. And it's better to get on the forefront and work out a solution than leave it to the last minute or go ahead and do something else and not have that approval. Okay. Why is the project? Michael spoke to you about a lot of this stuff. I'm just going to quickly flip on over. Why is the project needed? It understands the reason for the project and the things here: need, issue and cause. Very different things. In Tiddlywinks, we need to repaint the walls because the paint's peeling, and we also need to replace the windows because they're broken. So that's your need. What's the issue? We've got wild and crazy Tiddlywinks players, and I know nobody said there's no Tiddlywinks players here. Well, I'm here to confess I actually am. And I know that when you're flipping those Tiddlywinks, they go everywhere and they hit the walls and they break the windows and they make the paint peel, and this is a problem. So that's your issue. What's the cause of it? Well, the cause is this is what's happening. How do we fix it? We can replace the windows and we can repaint the walls. That's going to address the immediate need, what we're looking for, and that will address the issue that we've got, broken bits and pieces. It's not going to address the cause though. How do we stop this from happening again? Where's your sustainability in the project? Okay, we're going to repaint the walls. Now, I don't know anything about painting much, but we're going to use paint that's steel enforced, so it's not going to peel. I just made that up just in case you didn't know. And we're going to put on covers to the windows so that when those tiddlywinks players are going nuts, the windows aren't going to break. It's going to hit the covers. It's going to be protected. You're going to fix it. You're going to fix it once and for all. Describe the issue. What's affected? What's happened? Who's affected? How? And provide your supporting evidence. Don't just tell us stuff. That's all very nice. Show us as well. Tell us the story and give us the evidence so we understand how bad that issue is. Okay, so strong applications. What you want to do matches what you want to do with why you want to do it or need to do it, and explains why this is the best solution. So instead of just replacing the windows, we're going to replace and put up the covers. It might be the most expensive supplier, but that's because they're available now and we need to get it done. It might be a cheaper supplier because they're a local and they're giving us an in-kind contribution, you know, giving us a cheaper price. I'll let you read that at some later stage. There's a lot of stuff there. Couple of key things though I do want to point out. Environmental sustainability. What's the long-term benefit? What value add can we get from this project? And also crime prevention through environmental design. Has anyone heard of that phrase? Thinking about things like, okay, line of sight. If I'm approaching a building, can I see? Is it safe? If I'm leaving a building, can I see? Is it safe? Do we have lights on the facility so that if someone's going to come in, it's not easy to break in, they'll be clearly shown, those sorts of things. Think about how can we prevent these issues that keep reoccurring or may reoccur or don't exist but are likely to exist because we've got a developing community, and etc. Okay, so they're well considered and planned, identifies how you're going to deliver it, demonstrates that you have those resources. You've got the people on the ground, you've got the experts that have the expertise in that sort of thing, and you've got the money. It's realistic and viable. There's a couple of things that you can use in our applications to do this, the project plan and the budget. Again, another common issue. Income that comes in has to match the income, the expenditure that's going out. Okay, we need our budgets to balance. And I'm sure you've all got home budgets and you go, oh gee, I don't have enough money this week, or whoops, got way too much money, let's go on a holiday. Okay, how's it going to be delivered? Tasks, responsibilities, timelines. Now, I know that Michael spoke about this, but I do want to flag, this is your area for you guys to give us specific details and information. Tell us what you're going to do. Show us you've thought about that. Oh, well, we're going to have to get our approvals and we'll have that done by this date. And here's who's going to do it. Jack Tiddley of the Tiddlywinks committee is going to liaise with leasing and seek the approvals. And then after that, then we're going to allow for the painters to come on in. And then after the painting's done, then we're going to put the windows up, replace the windows, because the painting has to be done first before the windows are replaced. Thinking about your plan and the dates. Allow contingency. Think about what are the things that could go wrong. Uh-oh, we've had a flood. Suddenly all of our contractors aren't available for another month. Put that in to allow that contingency plan in when you're developing your application. Think about what could go wrong. Inclement weather, contractor availability. We've got a big Tiddlywinks tournament coming up in June. We're not going to be able to do it between that period. Again, this is all the information that helps us to ascertain, is this a strong application? Do we know what they're going to do? Have the risks been considered? Are the questions that we have being answered when we read an application, and we've got a really good understanding of what you want to do and why, and the benefit. It's really important because that's why we give you money. We see there's good community benefit. Okay. In your income budget, income expenses, where's it coming from? Have you got other sources of funding? Is this confirmed? There's a risk to us. If it's not confirmed, let us know. When's it going to be likely to be confirmed? And what are you going to do? And how are you going to deliver the project if you don't get that money? And that's where maybe that planned approach that Michael spoke about might come in. So the income source, this is where we want you to list everywhere that you're getting money from. Council grant requested, is it confirmed? Well, no, it's not confirmed because you haven't got it from us. You're only applying for us. Cash contribution by your group, is that confirmed? I hope so, because it's an eligibility criteria. So that's a yes. That's a big fat yes. Anybody else? And that's where you can put in your third space. I've got donations from this organisation or this grant application, but no, it's not confirmed. But hey, in here, it's going to be known by this date. That answers our question. We can manage that situation. And then the expenses. So your expenditure item, the cost, the full cost of the item. So for example, painting is your expenditure item. Total item cost, that might be your painter labour, might be your materials. And then your council grant is how much of the money you're asking us for are you going to use towards that item? And then always remember to attach your quotes. You can put as many, you've got 5 quotes that relate to that item, put all 5 next to that item. Okay, who's involved? Who are they? How are they involved? Have you engaged with them? And now, I know we might run a little bit over time. I'm just keeping an eye on it, but this is really important. And this is what we see all the time. The escalator ride of responses. I know it's a bit upside down. You start at the ground floor. You've got no response or poor or irrelevant information. You move on up to the next floor. General, broad, vague statements, better than something that's completely irrelevant. Second floor, it's relevant, but you haven't given us much detail, so we don't really know what's going on. Third floor, relevant information with specific details. We love relevant details. And then finally, you get to the penultimate. You're at the penthouse. You're at the top floor. You've got your 360-degree ocean views. This is your best type of answer. It's relevant, it's in detail, specific detail, and you've attached proof to verify what you're telling us so we can get a really good understanding. There's nothing left to question or to doubt for us. What does this look like? Okay, poor or irrelevant information. Tiddlywinks, we want to fix the grounds and the landscaping. Can anyone tell me how the grounds and the landscaping, how those costs have got anything to do with building a separate shed or painting a building? Nothing whatsoever. I don't need to know about it. I know that's very nice and lovely, but it's got nothing to do with the grant money you're seeking from us. Bit better than that. We want to fix the building where our club meets. Great. Why? Well, it's going to make it better for the users of the facility. Better how? Who are the users? How are you going to fix the building? And then the next one, we want to upgrade the bathrooms. Good. We're fixing the building by upgrading the bathrooms and reconfigure the space so our club and other users can meet in a comfortable environment and more people can use the facility. Can anyone see how that's getting a better type of response? We can do better. We're cooking with gas, but we can do better. Relevant information in specific detail. Okay. Builds upon what we've just had previously. Renovate the toilets. They're 15 years old. What we've got in here, they've been designed to meet disability access requirements. And that's important because whilst we had a disability access requirement, PWD, in our existing facility, that's 15 years old and details have changed, requirements have changed. We're going to build a new shed. Excellent. What's the detail of that? It's going to include office space and a meeting room. Why? Well, we don't currently have that space, and it's going to allow us to increase the use of the facility. Excellent. By how much? By 200%. We can now start to quantify and see the great benefit of what you're trying to do. And how are we going to do that? By relocating the committee meetings from the hall to the shed. The design of the facility as a multi-purpose centre will meet current and future needs. So you haven't just thought, you know, we spoke about before about the let's replace the window. So you haven't just thought about your existing needs, but you know you're going to have expanded usage because of this works. So it's going to meet current and future needs. How? Providing multiple user spaces for concurrent use by multiple user groups. You've got your big shed, you've got your little shed, you've got a little concertina wall so you can split your big shed to a couple of spaces. And that's going to increase our usage, again, quantifiable, from 5 groups to 12 groups. And we'll use a small shed for this. And also, there's going to have a new element of secure storage space to address the occasional thefts experience. Now, I know Michael didn't tell you about that, because we've tried to keep that at the Tiddlywinks Club on the down low, because we don't want people coming to use our facility thinking their stuff's going to get stolen. And by doing this, we're going to be able to sustain our club through facility hire of all of those new user groups, and it's going to bring about, we estimate, $5,000 extra income to our club. That's awesome. He thinks that's a pretty good application. Thank you, Michael, and a couple of others. I know it is a pretty good application, but we can do better. We can do better. How? Any idea what's missing? Thank you. We're missing our evidence. You're telling us this stuff, but we can't see it. Your chocolate is in Michael's bag down here. Don't worry, I know there's one gentleman, one lady. Okay. So this is exactly the same answer as the previous response. What we've got here though, proof attached. What have we got? Attached building plans to show the disability access. We've got photographs to show the deteriorating paint. We've got a list of inquiries of clubs that have said, we'd love to use your facility, but we can't. We've captured them on a list though, so we can say on this date, this club inquired, they can't use it because we have no availability. We've got letters of support. It's attached by those user groups that have expressed their interest in hiring the facility if it's available. The police reports evidence the crime that we've had at our facility, which is going to be addressed by the secure storage that we're putting into our committee meeting room shed out the back. And how can you quantify, how can you evidence that you're certain you're going to get $5,000? Well, you've attached budget estimates based on those new user groups and how often they're going to hire the hall at this much money per whatever it is, meeting, week, whatever. That's your best response there. That's it. That covers everything. It addresses our queries. It helps us understand. We can see that you've considered risks because in your project plan, you've given us details of contingency timelines. This is as good as you get. Well, you could probably do better, but we've only got 25 minutes. Okay, at this point, I do want to quickly flag with you that the Moreton Bay Recovery Fund, this is the official title, February 2022 Weather and Flood Event Recovery Grants. We've had a bit of a flood. We've got 2 rounds that are currently open. The first round is for $5,000. It's a relief kind of grant for equipment and consumables replacement. It's for facility cleanup. You can even apply for funding to pay your insurance excesses or fixing up that stuff. Care for Wildlife. That closes on the 27th of March and you'll know your outcomes about 14 days later. The second round that's currently also open is your restoration, up to $20,000. That's for your community infrastructure. And you can also apply for funding for your insurance excesses. I need to clarify this. You can get funding for insurance in the first round. You can get it in the second round. You can only get one lot of insurance excess, and you can only get it for up to $5,000. You can't get it from both rounds. And the third round will be recovery. That's for community and social support programs. That's still being developed. Keep an eye on it. Okay. And funding sources. Where can you go to find grants that might be relevant for what your project is? I've put 2 bits up there. There's the council grants, but also on our website, there's Funding Finder. Now, what this is an online resource that allows you to put in, I'm this type of organisation, I've got this type of project, and find what other programs outside of council may be being offered or available through other organisations to help you. So you don't always have to rely on us. It's great, we're here for that, but you can find alternate sources, and that helps your $1 million fundraising project. Here's how you contact us. Don't be afraid to speak to Sport and Rec, Community Leasing, Grants and Partnerships. As I said, we're friends, not foes. We're here to help you. We want to get the best applications possible so we can fund as many of you as possible and get the best outcomes for community. Does anybody have any questions? This is your point. Well, I've done a great job then, haven't I? All right. Well, if anybody does have any questions at any future point in time or when you're developing your application, feel free to contact us. You have the contact details, and thank you for your time, and I look forward to receiving all your awesome applications. Thanks, everyone.